Welcome back to the fourth installment, part 4 of how to build a better SFM BMAX car. So let's take a look at what I did with my new BMAX car. I had removed the old chassis and replaced it with a new chassis and reinforced it, and placed all the parts, transferred all the parts from the old chassis to the new chassis. So I'm going to show you what I did. So as I was mentioning in the previous video, I wanted to change the front end. So the front end, I was trying to use a certain plate. So the plate that I was trying to use was this one right here. So this one fit the front in a nice way, and I was going to double it up. However, when I had placed all of the rollers on it and attached this plate from the top and another plate in the bottom, I discovered that all of the rollers were basically sticking straight up instead of tilted forward at an angle. So here I've decided to just simply copy my design from my red hot BMAX car to the new one, this new one called Ninja. I took two of these plates here from the Neo VQS Advanced Pack. These are FRP plates, and I sandwiched them in the front here, and I put the rollers in here and attached the attachment points from the bottom to the top. You see the whole thing here is FRP, but it's a double FRP plate right here, and the rollers are tilted slightly just like they are on my red hot BMAX car. So it's a slight tilt. It's not a lot, but it's enough. It's better than having the rollers stand straight up vertically. So I had also redid the rear roller stay. So as you see here, I have these at a much higher point than I had before. Before they were lower and these were flipped upside down. And I was trying to devise a new method of negotiating the lane changer and curves on the walls. But I think this is a little bit better in that now that this is higher, it should keep everything more stable and within the track. So yeah, it's higher than my previous BMAX car. Red Hot looks like this. So as you see here, I got the entire axis to be in one straight line, whereas on the old BMAX car, the bottom rollers are shifted out a little bit, and I tried flipping this the other way, and it's the same deal. So no matter what I do, it's either these wheels are shifted outward or they're going to be a little bit inward. So I don't know. This is like, maybe it's a hopeless case right here. But here, I did enough so that the whole thing is vertical. So in order to have this so straight up and down like this, I had to mount this on two separate mount points. The bottom, there's a free float, as you see here. So I don't know if other people do this, but I'm doing it. And right here, I've locked this in place on the bottom, this bottom popsicle stick right here. And underneath there is a tail plate. And as you see here, the tail plate has the dampers, the rear dampers. And here we have another popsicle stick, and that holds the top part of the 19mm rollers. So there's two sets of 19mm rollers, the ones that are these tapered ones upside down like this, and also these here that spin really nicely. So now that they are separated on their own axis, their own stalks, their own posts, it spins more freely than if they were all connected in one straight line like that. So I think this might be a good design right here, because if you take this and you place it against the wall of, say, the track, you will see that the top and bottom rollers roll along here, along the side wall, and you'll see on the other side it does the same. And so yeah, that's good. And here, because of this taper right here, if this were to go airborne, then right here, as you see, this would just slide right off the top edge of the track. So demonstration, as you see, yes, very, very cool. So the front, I've kept it at the two 11mm rollers, and I kept them kind of low. I don't know, maybe I should make them go a little bit higher, but this has worked out well for me so far with the stabilizers. So I like this design. And I think that most of the time, I just fall into the trap of like, well, I don't have my brake situation set quite right, and that's why I course out. So if I set my brakes better, I think I can stay on the track and be very competitive with either of these cars. So yeah, I've seen situations where certain BMAX cars would take turns really fast, really too quickly, and then they would course out. So one method is to attach some brake right here, right around the stabilizers, and that should slow you down around corners, and so you'll be able to negotiate corners at high speed. Pretty cool. So yeah, and so not just the brake situation, but also the damper situation. I might have to adjust the dampers. And originally I had very small dampers in the front, and I might switch back to them depending on the situation. I also swapped out the heavy aluminum wheel for a lighter one. This is the lighter version, so they both are matching now. And yeah, this is taken from, the whole idea was taken from the idea of this, right? So this is the original chassis for this Brocken Gigant. So as you see here, it's got red wheels and black tires, and that's what I attempted to copy here, red wheels and black tires. So yeah, so in other words, this is like the cooler big brother version of the box stock car right here. So yeah, very, very cool. Let's open this up and see what's inside, what's under the hood. So here I've got this FMA body catch right here, and or body lock, and inside here I have taped down this piece right here so that I won't lose it. All right, so it's taped down. I've also labeled them so I know which direction I want the batteries to go. So positive up and positive down on this side. Very, very cool. And let's see, there's ball bearings inside there on each, all four, of course. And yes, I actually switched out, I think I switched out, yeah, there's new contacts here. These are the appropriate SFM, CFM contacts for this car. So instead of using this right here, the old button style type 1, type 2, I think it was, I tried to modify it so that it would work, contacts would work here, and it did work for a little while, and it was really good, and then it stopped working, so I swapped it back to the SFM chassis contacts, and so that seems to work out well so far. Very, very cool. And I tried removing the tape here so that I could just move this from BMAX to box stock, but it didn't work as well as I would have liked. So you do need a little bit of friction here on here so that when you place this inside here, then it's snug as a bug and it's not going to slide around at all. So yeah, once I attach this in place, there's like, it's really snug because I've got the sponge right here. This little piece of sponge prevents the sliding around of the cowl. Very, very cool. And let's see, anything else here that needs to be noted? No, I think everything looks really, really cool here. All genuine Tamiya parts, very cool. And yeah, I think, oh yes, I also taped here. So these shafts were sticking out because this is a 72mm shaft that I'm using on both of this, and so they'll stick out a little bit, and you just need to tape them down or push end caps on them. So they do sell end caps for these 72mm shafts. However, I don't have them around like readily available, so I decided to use Tamiya tape instead to cover up the shafts so that it doesn't become a cutting hazard. Yes, very, very cool. So I think this is pretty much ready to go, and yeah, I'm looking forward to the next race where there's going to be a BMAX contest, and we'll see how well this fares. Pretty darn cool. So yeah, oh, some other things worth mentioning. I think I had spoken about this in a previous video, but yeah, this whole thing here is flush right here. These are countersunk screws, so the bottom part is like all flush right here, so there's no snags right here. Here are regular screws, but that's okay because this will never hit the surface of the track. It's just this back part here that'll hit the surface of the track. So if you have a brake here, then it doesn't matter what you have here. Even if you don't have a brake here, it still doesn't affect, like it will prevent this from hitting the track anyway because we've got this tail plate here. So that's a pretty cool thing. Tail plates will prevent these kinds of screws from hitting the track. Very, very cool. Okay, so on the front here, we've got this as like a sort of like mini underguard. I'll call it mini underguard because it's not totally underguard. It's totally not like going to protect the snags 100%. So it'll probably protect it like 90% of the time, and that's good enough for me. I think those are some good odds. And so in situations where, like here it goes, it's going to fall off of this. And there's going to be situations where it does snag, but it's going to be like that kind of like random weird situation. And on the back here, yeah, you can probably get it to snag too, like this, for example, if it just somehow stops like this. But in general, if this is like, yeah, you see here, it's going to just fall right into the slot. If it kind of like comes off an incline and comes a little crooked, it should just fall right back into the slot of the track and proceed forward. I think it's a good design from that perspective. And yeah, I really like the idea of this inverted tapered roller here. That's really cool. So probably some people will want to put like a tapered roller down here in the same configuration as this, and then this on top, and that'll be a very formidable kind of configuration right there. Very, very cool. Now, some other things I've been looking at, and this is an ancillary thing. It doesn't have to do with BMAX right now because it's like, well, let's talk about open class a little bit. So I was looking at this, my Wolfie racer, and I was thinking of like my skid roller just kind of popped off, and I want to attach it back on here again, but it's going to be hard to try to get this to permanently stay. So I had like a temporary solution, and I want to make it more permanent. So I think what I'm going to do is attach these tubes onto the bottom of a plate, and I'll attach them like on both ends like this. And if you take a look at, let's say, a shaft, a wheel shaft, you can pass this through the tube right here. So if you can imagine right here, this whole piece here kind of glued, the two red tubes glued onto the bottom of a plate. So I'll kind of bore a little bit of like space here and here, and I'll kind of slot these two tubes into the space, glue it down with super glue, and then imagine, okay, this shaft right here is this shaft. So I've got these two little ball bearing rollers on here. So this will be the skid roller for this plate here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a new plate and I'm going to fabricate my idea, and then we'll replace this plate with the new plate and we'll see how that goes. So here we go. I have a new plate right here, and what I'm going to do is create a slot right here and right here, and that's where these two tubes will go, these spacers. So spacer 1 and spacer 2, and then the skid roller can be fixed more permanently than what I had before, which is basically just like a tape setup. Like this was taped down, and it worked for a little while, and then it stopped working because it fell off. So we have to make a more permanent solution. And so I know that some people with CNC machines can probably machine fabricate something very easily. I cannot. I don't have a CNC machine, and I don't plan on getting one in the near future yet. So at some point I will. So, because all of these ideas that I have, I think that they would be like so much better if I could just fabricate them myself using a CNC machine, a CNC cutter. And I heard that you can get one for like $500 and then kind of like wear a gas mask? No, wear like a N95 face covering so that you could not inhale all the carbon dust. So yeah, this is the bonus segment. Some open class knowledge, some open class like experimentation. But yeah, going back to BMAX, like a lot of the things that you learn in other classes can be readily applicable to the BMAX class. And by that I mean, like if you're proficient in Tune class, then you're probably proficient in BMAX class as well. So taking your Tune class car and swapping out the motors from a Tune class engine to an open class engine, yeah, that's going to change the characteristics of your car. You have to make sure that your car is like heavier and more stable, rock solid, and you just have to make sure that you choose components that will not fall apart, not explode when the car hits something. So Tune class, it's a more fragile version of BMAX in a way, because BMAX you want to make sure that everything is solidified. You want to make sure that everything is heavy, strong, and stable, because you're putting a more powerful engine in there. So more powerful engines are going to go at faster speeds so that when you do course out or when you crash in something, hopefully it will still live on, right? So you don't want this to like crack into a million pieces like what happened to my chassis, and then you have to like hope for the best and hopefully like get a new chassis, because these are hard to come by. So SFM and CFM chassis, very hard to come by. They don't make them anymore, they're discontinued, and there's no real chance of getting them back, so you have to sort of purchase SFM kits if you want SFM chassis. You have to purchase CFM chassis from the highest bidders out there, so you might be paying like $20+ for a single chassis that won't last you very long. And yeah, it's just the way. So yeah, another thing that I did to reinforce the chassis, I took some super glue and I filled in this crevice right here with a single layer of super glue, and when it dried, it kind of like looks exactly like this matte surface right here. So I don't know if it actually did anything. I'm hoping that it didn't just evaporate or kind of soak into the carbon dust in the chassis. So yeah, I'm pretty sure it did something. So I hope it didn't warp it. So yeah, that layer of glue is completely dried in there, and you can't really even tell. Like, comparing this to that, it looks basically the same. Red Hot has gone at really fast speeds. It's crashed into things, and it still lives. Because, I think, what happened before, where there was a force of impact on just one single side, now the force of impact, if it does hit something, is distributed along this entire front part. So yeah, there's less of a chance, I hope, of one of these wings here breaking off like what happened here. So yeah, it's funny, I have other cars that like lasted basically 2 days after I build a car, and then it would crash, course out crash, then yeah, that would be the end of the car. And you know what, that's okay, that's a learning process. But yeah, it would be nice if we could try to prevent that from the get-go. So yeah. So everybody, if you like this video, please slam the like button, subscribe to my channel. You'll see more videos just like this one. I think we're done here for now. We might just do some minor modifications, and we'll get this to be race ready on various tracks out there. So until next time, everybody, see you. Bye.